Hello from Leader Dogs for the Blind, and welcome to our webinar, Is a Leader Dog the Right Mobility Tool for Me? My name is Jim Dugan. I'm the Manager of Outreach and Community Engagement here at Leader Dogs for the Blind. This is the first of many seminars that we will offer you to learn more about the programs and services that we offer to empower people who are blind and visually impaired with lifelong skills for independent travel. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on our website within a week. For those of you joining us via phone, if you have a question after the webinar, please call 888-777-5332. I'll repeat this number again at the end of the webinar. Ask to speak to a client service representative. Our client service representatives are available Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. till 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For those people joining us online, you may enter questions at any time using the chat bubble on the bottom left corner of your screen. Our presentation will take about 15 minutes, followed by 15 minutes of questions and answers. If we have a lot of questions, we can stretch that out a little. I'd like to introduce today's presenters. First is David Laughlin. David has been a guide dog mobility instructor for 17 years and currently our Director of Programs overseeing the training department and the outreach services and community engagement department. He began his career working with Guide Dogs for the Blind in the UK and moved to the United States in 2014 to work for Leader Dogs. David ensures all of our programs meet International Guide Dog Federation standards. Our second presenter today is Erica Erke. Erica is a certified orientation mobility specialist and our manager of extended services. She oversees our orientation mobility training, our summer experience camp, and our GPS services. Erica is currently a member of the ACVREP O&M Subject Matter Expert Committee and the past president of the Michigan AER. She has presented on several international conferences on topics of guide dog readiness, alternative models of orientation mobility, and accessible GPS. At this time, I'd like to turn the program back over to David Laughlin. David?
Thank you, Jim. So here at Leader Dog, we're fortunate to have both Leader Dog and orientation and mobility programs. And I'm going to talk a little bit first about the similarities between using a cane and a Leader Dog, and then I'm going to break them down individually. So when thinking about using a cane or a Leader Dog, both require the person to have good orientation skills to be an efficient traveler. Neither tell the person when it is safe to cross the road, and you personally need to know where you want to go, and the cane and the dog are designed to assist you to navigate the environment safely. So talking about the cane specifically, we consider the cane to be a tactile mobility tool where the person uses it to locate obstacles in the environment, not only to navigate but also to learn about and explore the environment. Whilst learning how to use a cane here at Leader Dog and learning the cane techniques, we teach the person orientation skills, problem solving, and how to cross the street safely. Cane training we consider to be the foundation of skills needed for Leader Dog travel. When considering working with a Leader Dog more specifically, we consider the dog to be more of a non-tactile form of travel in the environment. The dog is wearing a harness with a rigid handle attached, which is how the information is transferred from the person to the dog. We teach the dog how to avoid obstacles in the environment opposite to the cane, locate and stop at all curbs on both sides of the street, keeping the person safe from traffic, and locating specific things in the environment. We use the dog's initiative for targeting things such as doors, accessible pedestrian signals at lighted intersections, or things such as chairs in an indoor environment. Working with a dog, of course, requires teamwork, as it is a partnership, and we often think in terms of the dog being the pilot and the person being the co-pilot, whereby the co-pilot gives the direction and the pilot navigates the environment. We also require people to have enough guide work for the dog in harness so that the dog gets daily exercise to maintain guide work, maintain the dog's weight, health, and fitness. Of course, the dog is a responsibility. We're requiring 24/7 care and attention. So feeding, watering, relieving, and routine vet visits are also required. And of course, the dog is just that, a dog, not a robot. They're still dogs at the end of the day and require training to keep their skills up. They will get distracted in the environment from things such as squirrels, other dogs perhaps, or even people. And thinking about the social aspect, they are a social magnet, which can be both a good thing and a bad thing, depending on how you navigate in the environment. Now I'm going to turn you over to Erica Erke, who's the Manager of Extended Services, who's going to talk about our admission standards and application process.
I'm first going to start off with our admission standards for our orientation and mobility program. For this program, no cane experience is needed, or a client can attend if they would like to brush up their skills. We require our clients or applicants to be legally blind. Additionally, we require clients to be 16 years of age or older. And clients should be in good health and have good stamina. This includes 6 months being seizure-free and being able to walk 30 minutes sustained multiple times a day. In addition to these standards, our guide dog admission standards are having the motivation to train and work with a guide dog team in the long term. Applicants should consider that guide dog partnership, it can last between 7 and 10 years. The ability to achieve and maintain the leadership role in a person-guide-dog relationship is another requirement. It's kind of like being a parent to a young child. Physical ability to manage a large breed guide dog. The breeds that we use at Leader Dog include Labrador Retrievers, Golden Retrievers, and German Shepherds. Their weights range from 50 to 80 plus pounds. Functional orientation to routes and destinations that the person will use. This includes consistent orientation without assistance, meaning a person needs to know where they're at, where they want to go, and how they're going to get there. Problem-solving skills and the ability to reorient themselves with no or minimal assistance. This means if I'm a cane traveler and I veer up a driveway, that I'm able to easily get back on track. Sufficient work for the guide dog to maintain its safe guiding skills. We like to recommend a minimum of 3 established routes that are regularly traveled without assistance. This helps in variety so that a guide dog doesn't get bored. Physical stamina. Again, 30 minutes sustained walking multiple times a day. Vision loss that causes a person to be dependent on a primary mobility aid. This varies at different guide dog schools. However, at Leader Dog for the Blind, our minimum standard is legal blindness. Demonstrating independent and safe road crossings, including the use of appropriate assistance. A client should use their hearing to read traffic, and without that hearing, they may require the assistance of someone else. A positive home environment and access to required resources to maintain the guide dog's ongoing health and temperamental well-being. Additional standards required by Leader Dogs for the Blind include independent self-care skills, which include the management of one's own medications, socially appropriate behavior. A Leader Dog graduate has the Leader Dog name on its harness, and they're a walking billboard for our programs. And finally, solid work ethics to maintain the relationship of a guide dog team. Our application process at Leader Dogs for the Blind requires an applicant to submit an online application or a paper application that can be obtained from our client services team. Applicants submit a travel video, which includes a client demonstrating a route that they regularly travel, lasting for 10 to 15 minutes, going up and down stairs, crossing multiple intersections that are familiar to that person. For our orientation and mobility program, we also require that travel video. However, if you do not travel independently or are unable to complete any of the things that I have listed, please show what the method that you're currently traveling. We don't want to put anybody in harm's way to meet this request. Additionally, we ask for medical and eye care reports to be completed by a professional, references from friends. We send a short survey to individuals that will serve as an applicant's references. Where applicable, we may request for a mental health report, an O&M report if those services have been provided within the last 5 years, and our team will review historical guide dog information.
All right. Thank you, Dave and Erica. We would now like to move into some question and answers. Again, for those of you joining us by phone, please direct your questions to our Client Service Department at 888-777-5332. For those online, you can type questions into the chat bubble at the bottom left corner of your screen. We've actually had several questions come in during the presentation. And our first question that we're going to answer is, how do I prepare my client for a dog guide in the future?
This is Erica Erke, and I will answer the first question. A foundation of orientation and mobility skills are required to meet this standard. So clients should have routes that they regularly travel, including street crossings and being able to do that unassisted. We have a professional seminar for orientation and mobility specialists at Leader Dogs for the Blind that O&M specialists can obtain continuing education credits for, in which we go into a much deeper dive of the specific skills.
All right, thank you, Erica. The next question we have up is, why do I need established routes to get a Leader Dog?
So this is David Lockling, and I will answer that question. So there's a few reasons why established routes are important. Firstly, it's important to be confident on those routes in the person's home environment, particularly thinking about the dog has never worked in that environment before, and they're going to need to be able to direct the dog where we want to go. So having established routes, being confident on those is important to ensure that we are able to direct the dog, especially if the person has come into Leader Dog and had on-campus training here. Again, that would be the first time going home that the dog's been in that environment. So, and as Erica said earlier, having a variety, sort of 2 or 3 routes is always a good idea from the perspective of not only practicing various techniques, but also it keeps the dog engaged and interested in working on those routes.
Thank you. Question came up, how does the dog know when to cross the road?
Okay, so this is David again. So it's very much the person's responsibility to decide when it's time to cross the road. We do teach our dogs to respond to traffic, to vehicles, in an emergency situation, but this is not something that should be relied upon. It's very much an emergency stop, because hopefully the dog doesn't often get to practice that, and like any skill for any of us, if we don't practice it, that's the type of skill that can break down. So it's important that the person is sure that it's time to, that it's safe, to cross the road. And again, those are the types of skills that our orientation and mobility team teach in our orientation and mobility program.
Thank you, David. Our next question up is, can you tell me about your on-campus training program?
Sure. So our on-campus training is anywhere between 20 and 25 days currently, depending on whether you're a new or a graduate client. So this is specifically for guide dog. Orientation and mobility I will let Erica cover. And so the first day or two is getting oriented to the building, getting to know the routine. The second or third day is actually dog issue day, which actually the current class of guide dog clients we have in dog issue day was today, which is a very exciting day. And from there, the foundation begins of teaching the person how to work with, care for, and interact with the dog. And as training progresses, the instructor starts to step out of the picture a little bit and hands the responsibility over to the person, so that by the end of class, we are at a point where both dog and person are working in the environment relatively independently. And I will turn you over to Erica for the O&M program.
Our O&M program is an on-campus training experience as well, in which our team provides 5 days of one-on-one O&M instruction. A wide variety of environments are explored, as well as techniques to use in those environments for residential, semi-business, business, store work. Night travel can be considered as well. Rochester, Michigan is close environment to several locations that gets us a variety to prepare people for whatever they're going home for.
All right, the next question has to do with cane travel requirements. How much cane travel does a client need to meet the requirements for a guide dog?
This is dependent on each person. It really depends on what it takes to make that person independent and be able to travel routes unassisted or with little or minimal assistance from another person.
All right. From a prospective candidate, what is considered a positive home life for a guide dog?
That's a great question. So when you think about a working leader dog, typically in harness, we're going to be working the dog for maybe 30 minutes to an hour a day. So much of the time really is social in the home, and we want the dog to have somewhere comfortable to sleep. Of course, we're going to feed the dog twice a day typically. We're going to be relieving the dog 4 or 5 times a day to ensure it's comfortable. We want the home environment to be a safe environment for the dog from the perspective of not being able to have easy access to things such as medication, food within the home. So again, safety is an important aspect. And really, in many ways, the dog can become a part of the family. We still want the main owner, the main person to be the responsible one for the dog, but again, kind of like a pet dog, they can become a part of the family.
All right. I think the next question is, again, for you, David. How long does it take to fully train a guide dog?
So typically, in our training program, from start to finish, once the dog comes in from a puppy raiser at around 14 months of age, we train the dogs for 16 weeks. And from there, we break that down into foundations, basic, intermediate, and what we call advanced training. And what we're looking to do is give the dogs, in the beginning, the foundations of guide work, which usually is obedience. We introduce the harness, and then we start to introduce the tasks that the dog is going to end up doing by the time it gets into class. So we use positive reinforcement methods. So we use a lot of food in the beginning, and we start to phase out food reward for the dog as time goes on. But we still use food reward within our class structure as well to reward the dog for the things that we want the dog to be doing and maintain.
All right. We've talked a lot about guide dog training and O&M training today. We have a question to define what is O&M.
O&M is orientation and mobility. So orientation is knowing where you're at, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. Mobility is the movement, the act of doing that. Orientation and mobility, or O&M, is taught by a specialist and is inclusive of teaching someone how to use a white cane, traveling in a variety of environments, assessing and determining the least amount of risk to make street crossings, and how to get around in an environment.
All right, the next inquiry, I want to know, is it possible to work a leader dog while I'm hiking in the woods or in a rural environment without sidewalks?
So certainly the rural environment without sidewalks is something that we train the dogs to and our clients to pretty regularly. So that is totally doable with the dog. We teach the dog to maintain contact with the left-hand side. It could be a grass verge, it could be a dirt track type thing, and the dog is taught to what we call indent as we get to perhaps a intersecting road and stop so that we can cross that road safely. The woods can be a little more difficult. I can think of people that have and do that, but what you've got to consider there is there's going to be more distractions. The dog may not necessarily know where to go if there's varying different pathways. Can it be done? Yes. Is it difficult? Most likely.
All right, the next question is a two-part. I'd like to know, is there a certain distance that I must work or travel with my dog? And if I do not envision employment in the future, may I still work with the dog?
The easier part to answer, if the person is not employed, absolutely. There's no reason that a dog wouldn't be right for you. There's still plenty of opportunity to work a dog within the environment. Certain stores, groups, those types of things. Is there a certain distance I must work or travel with the dog? I wouldn't say there's a distance because it depends on the person's walking speed. What we want is enough work, again, to maintain the dog's guide work. And that's dependent. It's very dependent on the individual and that individual dog. As long as we're maintaining guide work, the dog's maintaining a good working weight and is in good health, then there's absolutely no reason why there would be a set distance.
All right. What type of play is allowed with the leader dog? If we're going to work hard, are we able to play?
So we are able to play, absolutely. So we still want to have that the play under control. Leader dog provides a Kong, which we recommend using when playing with the dog, so you can play retrieve, those types of things. We'll issue a Nylabone as well, so the dog gets that kind of interactive experience. So play is important. It's really important to balance out the guide work, but what we would do during training is ensure that you know what toys are appropriate when playing with your leader dog.
All right. Well, it's 3:30, but we have so many great questions coming in that we're going to keep going a little longer. So the next question is, what are the pros and cons of using a cane? And what are the pros and cons the same as using a dog?
We'll split this up. One of the pros for using a cane is that it's an obstacle detector. So if my vision is decreasing, then I have less risk for injury to myself. A con of using the cane is that some people find that socially people get out of their way and don't interact as much with them because they don't want to cause a stumbling block or a hurdle for somebody that is trying to get to somewhere.
And so some of the pros of having the dog, what I've experienced and heard from clients over the years with the dog avoiding obstacles, that free-flowing mobility is definitely one of the pros of having the dog. Of course, owning a dog, the love, the care, affection of actually having a dog can be a wonderful thing. Some of the cons, I would say, of course, it depends on how you look at this, but the dog is a full-time responsibility, so that depends on what your lifestyle is and whether having a dog in your lifestyle suits. And as I was saying earlier, they are a dog, so require the upkeep of certain aspects of training, distractions. Dogs can get distracted, so that can be a con.
An additional pro of having a cane is that it's an identifier. People will be able to understand why maybe you're struggling in the environment and offer assistance. An additional pro is that you can hang it in the corner at the end of the day and not have to worry about care and maintenance.
The next question is coming in about our orientation mobility program. Should I have my cane before coming into your O&M training?
Our clients are not required to have a cane. In fact, one of the things that we do for all of our clients coming in for orientation mobility training at LeaderDog is provide them with a cane at no cost. We will select a cane that fits each individual person for their needs and select and review different types of tip styles that work for their travel and is most efficient.
Also, a question coming in regarding the home environment. Can a leader dog live with other animals, such as cats? And how much playing time should a dog have?
So a leader dog can live with other animals. I can think of many clients who have come through our program who have other animals, perhaps other dogs at home. Of course, we want to ensure that their other dog is friendly with dogs, cats as well. I've certainly trained many clients who have cats at home. In terms of how much playtime, it depends again really on the dog's energy level. You have to be careful not to be constantly playing because, of course, we want the dog to maintain guide work, so there's appropriate times to play with the dog. There's no real upper limit, providing that you're not tiring your dog out so much that it's able to actually go out and work in harness.
Okay, the next question is, how much does it cost to get a leader dog or attend the orientation mobility program?
All of our programs are provided at no cost to our clients at Leader Dogs for the Blind. We cover public transportation to and from the organization. We provide room and board at no cost, 3 delicious meals provided each day that our clients are in training.
I can attest to the meals. I've eaten in our kitchen. They're fantastic.
Okay, you know, we're going to have to stop for today. So many good questions out there. Sorry we weren't able to get to everybody. Before we close, I'd like to let you know that our Summer Experience Camp for 16 and 17-year-old girls and boys will be held this year from June 22nd through June 29th. If you know of any teenagers looking for a fun experience that will allow them to develop some great leadership skills and independent skills and make new friends and spend time with dogs, then tell them about this great opportunity. Like all our services, our summer camp experience is completely free, including the air travel to Michigan. If you'd like to learn more about our programs and services, please visit our website at leaderdog.org or call us at 888-777-5332 or email us at clientservices@leaderdog.org. For the professionals with questions can contact our Extended Services Department directly at 248-659-5053 or email extendedservices@leaderdog.org.